Power is never given freely. It is taken, held, and defended in a world that does not forgive the unprepared. Love flatters rulers into believing they are secure. Fear reminds them they are not. To lead is not to be adored, but to be obeyed. Love is a fleeting mood, shifting with fortune and rumor. Fear, properly cultivated, endures. The one who depends on affection depends on the whims of others. The one who instills fear commands even in absence. Understand this: fear is not cruelty for its own sake. It is the recognition that human loyalty is conditional, fragile, and often false. You imagine your allies love you because they pledge their devotion in the open square, because they toast to your victories and bow to your titles. But devotion born of comfort dissolves in adversity. The same voices that once cheered your ascent will whisper treason at your fall. Men love at their convenience, but they fear out of necessity. Fear binds tighter than affection, for it speaks to the instinct of survival. It is easy to break a promise to the one you love. It is harder to betray the one you fear. Do not mistake this for an argument for brutality. Fear must be measured, controlled, wielded like a scalpel, not a club. Terror that consumes indiscriminately breeds hatred, and hatred breeds conspiracies. A wise ruler ensures fear never hardens into despair. For a subject who despairs no longer fears, he becomes reckless, dangerous, willing to gamble everything to see the throne toppled. But one who fears with respect, who believes punishment is certain yet just, will not rise against you. It is this balance of fear without hatred that sustains power in the long night. Ambition is praised in the defeated, envied in the victor, and feared in those yet to rise. Do not pretend men are content to remain subordinate when they glimpse the throne. They smile, they flatter, but inside they calculate. To rule is to live among predators who wear the mask of lambs. Exile teaches this truth more harshly than court life ever could. For in exile you hear the laughter of those you once protected. You see how quickly loyalty withers when power no longer shields you. You learn that even the closest allies speak two languages, one for your face, another for your absence. Human nature has not changed, though our palaces have become parliaments and our swords have become signatures. Men are creatures of appetite and fear, of memory and ambition. They remember slights more vividly than favors. They conceal their envy behind smiles until the moment is ripe. They mistake mercy for weakness, humility for hesitation. To endure, you must accept that virtue, if practiced purely, is an indulgence too costly for rulers. The idealist is devoured, the realist endures. It is not enough to understand the machinery of government. You must master the theater of power. Appearances dominate reality in the minds of the governed. They do not see the calculations behind your decisions. They see only strength or frailty, fortune or failure. The ruler who appears indecisive, even once, is already half dethroned. Therefore, project certainty even in doubt. Project control even in chaos. The mask of authority must never slip, for once they glimpse hesitation, they will circle you like vultures over a dying beast. The question is not whether you will be betrayed. You will. The question is whether betrayal will destroy you or strengthen your hand. Anticipate treachery as inevitable, not exceptional. It is a natural consequence of power's gravity. It draws not only loyalty but envy, not only followers but conspirators. To rule is to sit atop a throne of daggers, their points aimed at your back. You may blunt them through fear, you may divert them through favors, but you will never remove them all. And so you must decide, will you be feared or loved? Choose fear. It is the firmer foundation. Love may adorn your reign with songs and statues, but fear undergirds it with steel. Love may inspire men to serve you when the winds are fair. Fear compels them to serve when storms gather. Love wanes as quickly as it blooms. Fear, if wisely tended, holds fast. A prince who depends on love alone awakens one day to find his castle empty. A prince who commands fear wakes each morning knowing his word still carries weight. Yet fear alone is not enough. Power is not a static possession. It is a current you must constantly swim against. Each victory breeds new rivals, each alliance seeds future betrayals. To hold power, you must become both fox and lion, cunning to detect traps, fierce to crush threats. One without the other is inadequate. The lion falls into snares it cannot see. The fox flees before enemies it cannot fight. But the ruler who masters both survives. So walk carefully through this world. Do not seek to be loved. Seek to be respected. Do not chase virtue for its own sake. Use it when it serves. Discard it when it hinders. Understand that politics is not a contest of saints, but a struggle among wolves. Mercy, justice, even friendship. These are tools in your hand, not chains around your wrist. Wield them as needed. If they fail, you still have fear. Remember, the world is not as it should be. It never was. It is as it is. Brutal, shifting, treacherous. To survive is not to lament this truth, but to master it. Fear is more reliable than love. Understand this, and act accordingly. The weight of command is not borne by those who dream of it, but by those who survive its realities. To govern is to accept solitude, for even in the company of ministers and generals, a ruler stands alone. Their counsel may be sweet, their allegiance professed with fervor, yet in the privacy of their hearts they measure your strength and your weakness, weighing whether your fall might serve their rise. This is not cause for despair, but for clarity. Expect nothing of human nature but self-interest, and you will seldom be deceived. The people are fickle. They crave security, bread, and spectacle. They are quick to praise but quicker to curse. One day they will lift you on their shoulders as a savior. The next they will call for your head. Their memory is short, their gratitude shorter still. Do not despise them, for this, it is their nature. And nature does not change. Shape their passions when you can. Divert them when you must, but do not entrust your fate to their love. Build your foundation on what you can control, and let fear be the mortar that binds it. Enemies are the truest measure of a ruler's strength. If you have none, it is not because you are loved, but because you are insignificant. Power attracts rivals as flame draws moths, and like the moth, they burn not out of necessity but out of compulsion. Your task is not to eradicate all opposition, this is impossible, but to ensure that none can unite against you. Divide their ambitions, sow doubt among them, let them suspect one another more than they suspect you. It is better to be feared by your rivals than admired, for admiration breeds emulation, but fear keeps their hands still. In politics, as in war, deception is the sharpest blade. The ruler who shows his intentions openly invites resistance. The one who cloaks them invites obedience. Speak often of peace while preparing for conflict. Appear generous while hoarding your resources. Let them believe they know you while you conceal your true designs. If they see only what you wish them to see, then even their defiance will move them into the trap you have prepared. But take care, the mask must never crack. Once you are revealed as a schemer, even your allies will conspire against you. Appear honest even in your cunning, sincere even in your manipulation. The people do not despise lies, they despise liars who are caught. Therefore, lie skillfully. Betray only those whose destruction strengthens your position. Break promises only when the cost of keeping them exceeds the cost of breaking them. Let your betrayal be swift, unambiguous, and followed by acts that make the governed forget the wound. Ambition will consume you if you do not consume it first. In every court, there are those who plot not out of necessity but out of hunger. Their eyes gleam as they bow. Their voices drip with respect even as they imagine your throne beneath them. Some will attempt to buy loyalty with favors. Others will demand loyalty through force. Both err. Loyalty purchased with gifts dissolves when the gifts cease. Loyalty demanded through terror hardens into hatred. The ruler who endures inspires a loyalty born of necessity, one that endures not because it is chosen, but because the alternative is ruin. Fortune is a cruel mistress. She raises fools to glory and casts the wise into exile. You cannot command her, but you can prepare for her turns. The unprepared blame her when they fall. The prepared seize her when she favors them. If a storm is coming, build walls, gather stores, and harden your soldiers' hearts. If the wind shifts in your favor, strike swiftly before it changes again. Fortune favors not the virtuous, but the vigilant. As you ascend, remember this: power does not forgive weakness. The moment you falter, the carrion birds gather. They will not wait for your corpse to cool. They will tear at your flesh while you still breathe. Mercy has its place, but only when it strengthens your rule. If mercy sows doubt in your resolve, you will soon have no power to grant it. Better to be accused of harshness than to be devoured for softness. And yet, do not indulge cruelty for its own sake. A tyrant who kills without measure digs his own grave. Fear must be precise, its application limited to those whose destruction warns others. The people will endure punishment if it appears necessary, but they will not forgive injustice that serves no purpose. Fear them not as individuals, but as a multitude, for when the multitude rises, no army is large enough, no fortress strong enough to withstand it. Keep the people subdued, and even your enemies within the court will find their daggers blunted. Appearances are the currency of power. It does not matter what you are, it matters what you seem to be. Seem virtuous even when you are ruthless. Seem generous even as you calculate the cost. Seem just even as you crush rebellion. The people judge not by your intentions, but by the stories told about you. Control those stories. Shape the narrative of your reign so that even your cruelty is remembered as necessity, even your betrayals as wisdom. But remember, power is not a possession, it is a performance. To lead is to step onto a stage where every gesture is watched, every word weighed, every hesitation magnified. Once you falter, once you are seen as uncertain, the illusion shatters and the wolves close in. Therefore, do not merely act strong, be strong. Do not merely speak with authority, command it. Do not merely play the ruler, be the ruler, and let no one forget it. The path of power is narrow and steep. One misstep, and you fall. One moment of complacency, and the ground crumbles beneath you. Walk it with eyes unblinking, hands steady on the blade. Love may accompany you for a time, but it will abandon you at the first sign of weakness. Fear walks with you to the end. Fear does not falter, it does not betray, it does not grow weary. It endures as long as you endure. So I say again, fear is more reliable than love. Understand this, not as advice, but as law. The law of nature, the law of power, the law of survival. Love if you can. Inspire it where it serves you, but do not depend on it. For when love dies, fear will still hold the line. And in this cold world, that line is all that separates ruler from ruin. Then listen closely, for the path does not grow gentler as it winds forward. The higher you climb, the thinner the air becomes, and the more treacherous each step. Power exposes you, strips you of illusions, reveals truths too harsh for most to endure. It is not the roar of battle that tests a ruler's resolve, but the silence of long corridors, where plots are whispered, where smiles conceal sharpened teeth. Here, sentiment is weakness, hesitation is death. The ruler who survives must harden his heart until mercy itself feels like treason. Do not delude yourself. Men do not serve out of gratitude. They serve because they must, because it is safer to kneel than to resist. Gratitude fades quickly when new appetites arise. The favor you grant today becomes tomorrow's expectation. The subject you save from ruin will one day resent the memory of his own dependence. Even your closest allies will secretly despise the hand that feeds them, for they know it is also the hand that could crush them. Love is a chain that snaps under strain. Fear is a shackle locked deep into the bone. Betrayal is inevitable. It is not an accident, but an element of power's chemistry, as natural as rust on iron. The ambitious will betray you because ambition cannot abide a superior. The timid will betray you because fear drives them to seek security elsewhere. Even those who appear steadfast are only waiting for the right price, the right moment, the right excuse to exchange fidelity for advantage. To rule is to live in the certainty that everyone around you is, in some measure, a traitor in waiting. So do not ask whether you will be betrayed. Ask only when and by whom. Then act first. Cut down the disloyal before their treachery ripens. The ruler who hesitates, who wishes to be certain before he strikes, invites his own destruction. Strike before doubt has time to grow. Make examples of a few so that the rest tremble in silence. Fear spreads faster than any conspiracy, and its chill will freeze even the boldest heart. But let your hand fall with precision, not recklessness. A ruler who lashes out at shadows soon finds himself alone, surrounded by enemies real and imagined. Fear must be cultivated carefully, like a garden. Too little, and weeds of rebellion sprout. Too much, and the soil turns barren, leaving nothing but hatred. Hatred is a fire that consumes order, and even a tyrant cannot rule ashes. Inspire fear without breeding despair. Let your subjects believe that obedience preserves their lives, that resistance guarantees their ruin. Give them no room to dream of your downfall, for the dream is the seed of action. Understand also that appearances rule the world. What matters is not what you are, but what they believe you to be. If they believe you strong, they will not test your strength. If they believe you just, they will excuse your harshest measures as necessity. If they believe you invincible, they will not conspire. But if they glimpse weakness, hesitation, doubt, fatigue, they will tear at you like wolves scenting blood. You must wear the mask of command at all times, for even in private you are never unseen. Modern power is more subtle than in ages past, but it is no less ruthless. Thrones have become offices, crowns have become logos, armies have become algorithms. Yet the dynamics remain unchanged. The ruler must master not only the sword and the coin, but the narrative. In this age, perception is a battlefield. Win the narrative, and you win the war before a single shot is fired. Lose it, and your armies are nothing but hollow shells. Control what the people see, what they hear, what they believe. Do not merely fight your enemies, erase them from the story. And remember, the greater your power, the greater your solitude. Trust no one completely. Affection clouds judgment. Friendship creates obligations you cannot afford. Even family is dangerous, for blood binds only until ambition severs the tie. Stand alone, so that no betrayal can break you. Stand alone, so that your will remains uncorrupted by sentiment. To rule is to walk a knife's edge, and only those who abandon illusions can keep their balance. Do not seek legacy in monuments or the memory of love. Seek it in endurance. A ruler's first duty is not to be adored, but to persist, to hand power to the next hand without it slipping into chaos, to die with the throne still standing. Love may adorn your name for a generation. Fear ensures your work outlives you, for in the end, history remembers not what was virtuous, but what survived. The strong hand builds, the weak hand begs. The strong mind governs, the weak mind is governed. The strong ruler shapes events, the weak ruler is shaped by them. To lead is to make hard choices without apology. Mercy when it serves, severity when it saves, deception when it protects, violence when it preserves peace. Do not confuse this with cruelty, it is necessity. The world does not conform to dreams of justice. It bows only to force, to cunning, to resolve. And so, I return to the one truth that endures across all ages, all empires, all regimes. Fear is more reliable than love. Love is a candle that flickers in the wind. Fear is the stone foundation that withstands storms. A ruler who understands this may yet bend fortune to his will. A ruler who forgets it will find himself a prisoner in his own palace, surrounded by smiling enemies, awaiting the moment they strike. The throne is not built of gold and marble alone. It is constructed from the silence of the governed, the compliance of ministers, the obedience of soldiers, and the fear that binds them all. This is the architecture of power, invisible, unspoken, yet stronger than any fortress. Lose it, and no wall, no army, no oath can save you. Preserve it, and even in absence, your shadow will command obedience. A ruler's true dominion is not over territory or wealth. it is over the minds of men. Every man has within him a hidden ledger, debts of gratitude, resentments for humiliation, ambitions that whisper in the night. You cannot erase this ledger, but you can manipulate its balance. Reward enough to keep loyalty alive, punish enough to keep rebellion dormant. The wise ruler distributes favors sparingly, so they retain value, and applies punishment swiftly, so it does not fester into vengeance. Prolonged cruelty invites hatred, delayed justice invites contempt. Strike once and decisively, so the lesson requires no repetition. The masses crave a ruler who appears both strong and benevolent, yet they cannot bear too much freedom. Give them freedom, and they will squander it, turning on one another until they beg for your firm hand to restore order. In their hearts, most people desire not liberty, but certainty. They want bread on their tables, safety in their streets, and the comforting illusion that they are governed by virtue. Feed this illusion, and you may govern unchallenged. Shatter it, and they will rise against you, not for love of freedom, but for fear of chaos. Those who advise you will speak of trust, of unity, of loyalty, as if these are absolutes. They are not. Trust is a transaction. Unity, a temporary alignment of interests. Loyalty, a fragile bond secured only by strength. Never trust a man who has too little to lose. Desperation makes him reckless. Never empower a man who has too much to gain. Ambition makes him dangerous. Keep your ministers in competition with one another, so their envy and suspicion prevent them from conspiring together. A divided court is a safe court. Even as you sow discord among your circle, present yourself as the unifier of the realm. Let them believe you are the still center in a turbulent world. In public, speak of peace, justice, and prosperity. In private, prepare for war, injustice, and scarcity. The ruler who plans for only the best will be crushed by the worst, but the ruler who prepares for the worst may yet seize fortune when she smiles. Consider how quickly the people forget. A generous act fades from memory like smoke, but a single humiliation endures like a scar. You may slaughter thousands in the name of security and be praised for your wisdom if you cloak it in necessity. But deny a man his pride, and he will plot your downfall to his last breath. Guard their dignity even as you tighten your grip. Let them bow because they choose to, not because they are broken. Broken subjects are dangerous. Proud subjects are useful. Every ruler faces a moment when love and fear stand as competing roads. The temptation is to choose love, for it flatters the soul to be adored. Resist it. Fear is colder, less comforting, but it does not waver with the seasons. It does not abandon you when famine comes, when enemies gather at the border, when your strength falters. Fear remains steadfast, so long as you remain strong. Do not confuse fear with savagery. To instill fear is not to indulge bloodlust, but to establish boundaries that none dare cross. Let your punishments be public, swift, and rare. Excess dulls their edge. A man who fears you but does not hate you will obey without question. A man who fears and hates you will conspire in shadows. Prevent hatred by showing that your severity serves order, not vanity. Let the people see you as the surgeon who cuts to heal, not the butcher who slaughters for sport. In times of crisis, reveal your strength through action, not words. The people respect deeds, words they forget. If rebellion stirs, crush it utterly. Half measures invite second attempts. If your army falters, replace its commanders before weakness spreads. If a minister plots, eliminate him before he gathers followers. Delay is fatal in matters of power. Fortune may forgive the bold. She never forgives the hesitant. The world has no patience for innocence in rulers. Do not expect fairness from allies, compassion from enemies, or gratitude from the masses. Expect only calculation. Allies stand with you because it serves them. The moment your weakness costs them more than your strength profits them, they will turn. Enemies will smile at your misfortunes and plot to deepen them. The masses will cheer your victories and mourn your defeats, but their cheers and tears mean nothing. What matters is who commands the soldiers, who controls the wealth, who shapes the narrative. You may speak of ideals to inspire others, but you must never believe them yourself. Ideals are tools, not truths. Use them to rally the people, to justify necessity, to clothe hard actions in soft language. But in your private councils, strip them away. The only truth is this: power sustains itself through vigilance, fear, and cunning. Forget this, and you will join the long line of fallen rulers whose portraits hang in palaces they no longer command. Power is not gentle, it is not kind. It devours those who approach it unprepared, and yet it is the only force capable of imposing order on a chaotic world. Without it, there is only anarchy, violence, and ruin. To wield power is to accept responsibility for the survival of the state, even at the cost of your soul. To preserve the realm, you may have to sacrifice your peace, your reputation, even your humanity. Such is the burden of rule. And so I remind you again, fear is more reliable than love. It is the foundation upon which empires stand, and the shield behind which rulers endure. Love may lift you for a season, but fear sustains you for a lifetime. Understand this not as counsel, but as command. For in the theater of power, there are no saints, only survivors. And when the day comes that you are old, when your hair has turned to ash and your hands tremble from the weight they have carried, you will look back and see what this path has cost you. You will see the faces of those you raised up and those you cast down, the allies who turned to dust, the enemies who outlived their hatred. You will feel the cold of 1,000 rooms where you stood alone, deliberating over lives and kingdoms. And in that silence you will understand, there is no throne without blood, there is no crown without sacrifice. But you will also see the city still standing, the borders still guarded, the people still bending their knees in the shadow of your name, and you will know you have done what was required. Not what was righteous, not what was merciful, but what was necessary. Power does not care for the purity of your soul. It cares only that you endure long enough to wield it. Perhaps they will call you cruel. Perhaps they will call you tyrant. Let them speak. Words are soft. Power is steel. And history remembers not the hearts of men, but the hands that shaped their world. So let them carve your likeness in stone. Let them write songs of your reign or curses. It makes no difference. You will have been the architect of order in a universe that tends toward chaos. You will have seized fate by the throat and forced it to bow. That is enough. Because in the end, love is a fleeting breeze, warm for a moment, then gone. But fear endures. It binds, it protects, it commands. Fear is the truest servant of power, the last ally of kings, the guardian at the edge of the abyss. Understand this. Remember this. Etch it into your mind as law. Fear is more reliable than love. It always has been. It always will be.